So welcome back, everyone. We're live on Facebook, so hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We'll share the show later on. My next guest has been on with me once before. I have with me Derek Cooper, and he's the owner of ASC Insurance. Welcome to the show. Back to the show, I should say it that way. First of all, I want to talk about you. You know, when it comes to Medicare, it is such a complicated subject. Number one, there are people that are turning 65 every day, but there also the season is coming upon us where people can change their plans and things like that. But they may not know that someone like you exists. So I want you to first talk a little bit about you and what you do.
Yep. So as a Medicare broker or an insurance broker, my job is to help someone or guide them through the process. So especially specifically for Medicare, what I typically do is when someone's turning 65, let's just use that as an example, I help them get enrolled in Medicare. And there's a time frame that they have to enroll by or else the government can penalize them. So I help them, mitigate that or just try to avoid that. Once they elect Medicare, then I help them choose how they want to have their actual coverage, their secondary coverage. And there's usually two options that someone can choose. You can either use supplemental coverage or you can use what's called Medicare Part C or an Advantage plan. They're two separate systems. They work completely different. Depending on which way they choose, then I also have to help them find a drug plan potentially. So I help them navigate the whole process from start to finish. So enrolling in Medicare, secondary coverage, drug plan. And my services are complimentary. So they do not have to pay me for my services. What they pay for the plan that we talk about is exactly what they're going to pay for if they do it themselves. The difference is if they do it themselves, which they can do that, that's completely fine. But if they do that, then they are going to have to call the 1-800 number every time they have a question or they have an issue, and they're going to have to wait on hold, and they're going to have to talk with a different person every time. Versus if they work with me, who now manages their account, I'm the one who helps facilitate everything. I answer the questions, I help get to, working with claims, things like that. So they end up working with me rather than work with a 1-800 number.
Well, it's so important because first of all, trying to do it on your own, when it comes to Medicare, certain subjects, there's just too much on there. And I think that's the biggest mistakes that people make. They think they can do it on their own. But there's a lot of things that, when I've said this so many times on my show, you don't know what you don't know. And you're a professional. This is what you do. You help people on this. Getting on to Medicare, obviously, if you're turning 65, when is the time for them to call you? People that, how far in advance should they call?
So the enrollment period for when you're turning 65 is 3 months before your birthday month. Medicare always starts the first of the month. So if you're born on the 30th of August, your Medicare would start August 1st. The only way that isn't the case is if you're born on the 1st, which then Medicare starts the month prior on the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So again, there's timelines for everything. So if someone wants to call me, I say typically a month before your enrollment period starts. So 4 months before your birthday month is typically a good time to start planning it out.
Now, you work statewide, am I correct on that?
Correct.
Including, you have most of the southern states as well, and this is a free service to you. The number to call is 480-648-5052, and the website is ASCINSURANCEAZ.com.
Correct.
And what I want you people to understand too is when it comes, I think a lot of people think that they get this Medicare automatically.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. You think it's just going to happen automatically? No, it doesn't work like that.
Correct.
Having somebody help you first walk you through that, then there's another part of it. That's the other thing. That's where the alphabets come in,
Correct.
right? And it's important for you to have somebody that's going to help you decide which one is right for you. Is that correct?
Correct. So there is one kind of way where Medicare you are automatically enrolled. That's if you sign up for Social Security income before you are 65. So let's just say if you did it at 63, as you approach turning 65, the government will issue your Medicare card ahead of time.
Okay.
Now,
See, I learned something every day.
So here's the thing too. So if someone decides, well, I'm going to still continue to work, if I have Social Security, then it is your job to turn off your Part B, which there is a premium for that to the government. So if you do not turn that off, now you'll have technically two insurances, one through your employer, one through Medicare, and you don't want to have two premiums if technically you only need one.
Absolutely. Again, don't try and do it on your own. This is a free service to you. The phone number to call is 480-648-5052. Now, we're talking about people that are turning 65, but you work with people that already have Medicare as well?
Yeah, so someone already has Medicare, whether it's a supplement or an Advantage plan. Any time of the year you can always give me a call because there are things that come up. Hey, I moved from one area to another. Well, depending on what type of plan you have what's called a special election period where you get the ability to change your plan. So if you're moving from Pinal County to Maricopa, that plan that you may have had may not work anymore, and they give you 63 days to change that plan. Same with the drug plan. So if you're moving from Arizona to California or vice versa, that plan is no longer the plan that you need. You need to have a plan that's anchored in that state. So there are certain circumstances where you need to change things, as well as supplemental coverage. So someone moving from New York coming to Arizona, supplemental coverage in New York is probably 3 times as expensive as it is here. You might want to change that. I know that you love it. It's the plan that you've always had, and it's a great company. But would you rather pay 3 times the amount for the same coverage you'd have?
We've been talking about money today like that, but I have to say this, that everybody does. Everybody wants to make sure that they, especially seniors, I'm sorry, that's just the way it is, making sure that you have the right coverage, making sure that it is the one that fits for you the best, not only for the medical side of things, but also for the pocketbook. That's really important as well. Also, what happens, I think, with a lot of seniors is that their meds change all the time.
Yes.
Like from one day to the next, you go to the doctor, and all of a sudden you're on another, and people try and do that on their own as well. And there's different tiers, and how to understand that. You explain that a little bit.
Yeah. So the drug plans are probably the most complicated part of Medicare, and there is a drug plan in Advantage plans. Plus, there's also the standalone drug plans. So, like you had mentioned, drugs change all the time. All the time. So, the one thing about the drug plans is they change yearly. So the premium may change yearly, the tiers may change yearly. So your drug that was on a tier 1 or tier 2 now can become a tier 3 and 4, and the price can shoot up. And if someone does nothing, you're going to spend more money than you need to. That's why someone like myself, a broker, has the ability to shop that rate every single year. I just take the medication that you have, I plug it into a system, it tells me the plan that you need to be in. So every October 15th through December 7th, which is the annual enrollment period, that's when we elect to change plans for someone if they need to. If we plug it in and it says you're in the right plan, I will say you need to do nothing. You stay where you're at, and then we go and that goes in for the next year. If you need a change, we say let's make a change. That goes for the new year on January 1st.
His phone number is 480-648-5052. The website is ASC INSURANCE Now, I know we're going to go to a break, but I know that there's going to be substantial changes coming up for next year, right?
Correct. So just to touch on that real quick, so on the Medicare side, starting in 2026, Medicare may need to have prior authorization for procedures. Now, for the longest time ever, Medicare has been fee-for-service medicine, which means if your doctor recommends it, you get it. Moving in 2026, certain procedures may require prior authorizations. And on the Advantage side, the big news that we're kind of hearing is that PPOs may be going away. Some companies may not offer those anymore. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Everything's kind of up in the air right now, but they're potentially some big changes.
Well, it's important that you speak to somebody here too, local. That's another thing that's important, especially to have somebody you become his client, you become somebody that he cares about, that he's going to make sure as you're going along throughout the time, there's going to be changes that you're going to have questions on. You can talk to him, he's local, so you know that you're going to get him and not somebody else. Do not call the people on television. I mean, we've been talking about television too earlier, but it's the same thing when it comes to Medicare too, because I think a lot of people think that Joe Namath is going to call back or what have you.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work like that. Again, having somebody who's knowledgeable, who knows what they're doing, who knows what to look for, it is the most important thing that you do, especially when it comes to this. Medicare is the biggest thing in a senior's life.
Absolutely.
And they're all excited about getting it.
Medicare is great coverage. I mean, if you have to compare Medicare to under 65 health insurance, it's astronomically better. The problem is just navigating it and knowing what plans to choose.
And making sure that you have the right plan for
Correct.
you. I think that's the biggest thing. The phone number to call him is 480-648-5052. You can check him out on his website. It's ASC INSURANCE This is a free service to you, the families out there. He does work statewide here, but he also works with some of the southern states as well. We're going to go to a break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk further. So important when you hear some of these things that you're listening to. It could be you or someone that you know. That's what networking is all about. But the main thing is all the information that people get here. His phone number again is 480-648-5052. Hang tight. We'll be back in just a minute. Now this is a little bit nicer, right?
Yeah.
Do you like it better?
Yeah.
So I want to kind of come back and talk about some of the changes that might be happening. I think that's important again, if you want to bring in
I
that.
think touching on the premiums for the supplements will be good, because I think that's where a lot of people right now, I'm getting a lot of phone calls on. Oh,
Okay.
my premium went up, or this is going up.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's across the board, but there are ways to fix it, or to potentially fix it. Now, with supplemental coverage, they'll have to answer medical questions, but if they can pass medical questions, they have the ability to sometimes resetting the clock.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think that's great. I'm sure hoping that I'm getting to everything that you kind of want to talk about. I kind of really like going very narrow and deep on the show, just because I think it's really going that way, then we're just educating,
Yeah.
right? I think that's really important.
I go down the rabbit hole a lot when I do seminars. If I get a couple of questions,
See, that's what you can do. When you do that here, like the same thing, instead of going, you do it here. You gotta capture the audience listening, right?
Yep.
Same thing, you can do that. If you do, when you do a seminar, what are some of the topics that you talk about?
typically, like, when can I change my plan, or when can I do this, or like the other day I had a client call me up and they said, well, I need to make sure that this is gonna be covered.
You need something?
No, I'm good. Covered on this plan, and I go, you have original Medicare, so it'll be covered. And if someone's like, hey, I want to make sure that if something big comes up, that I'm not going to be spending a ton of money. And I say, well, here's an example. I had a client in Colorado who went to the hospital for 10 days, and he got a $358,000 bill, and he paid $257 of it. It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I tell you, I know it's expensive.
Yeah. So it just, when you have, the coverage is just much better for the health coverage. Now, the downside with Medicare, I would say, is that the medications, specifically some of the ones that they need, are expensive.
Okay, here we go. These are all the commercials, and yours will
Gotcha.
be in there too, as a lineup. Well, we're gonna have to do it in someone's voice, or I might talk to you about something.
Okay.
Might make sense, because you're,
Yeah.
I'll tell you in a minute. So welcome back, everyone. Now we're talking Medicare, and we have Derek Cooper. He's the owner of ASC Insurance. And Derek, you are a broker, right?
Broker,
Explain,
yes.
Right, so explain to them what that means.
So rather than working with just one specific company, which that's how I started. I worked with one company, and going into someone's house and saying, hey, this is the one thing that you need, and this is going to be the best thing you ever do. very quickly I realized that that's not the way that I
It's
operate.
not fair.
Well, I'm an educator. I'm not a salesperson. That's not in my DNA. So I would rather go into someone's house and say, hey, here's all of your options. Here's everything that's going to be available to you. You choose which one's the best fit for you. This one's the lowest price. This one may have a gym membership. This may have this. And then whatever fits their need, then they have the ability of choosing.
And you mentioned that you go into their homes, but now you can do it Zoom,
Yep.
which
Zoom.
is really nice. And when you do something, it's so important that you follow through, because I think that's really neat that you can do that. It makes it so much easier for people, I'm sure. Do you like to have that? I mean, obviously this is a free service to them. Do you do like a intake on them? How does it work when they first call you?
Usually when someone reaches out, I will just say, hey, let's schedule a time to talk first, because I need to kind of figure out what you need, what you're looking for, where you live, because I mean, if we're gonna do in person and you live up in Kingman, we gotta make sure we got plenty of time to do that. But yeah, just kind of get an idea of what you need, what you're looking for, because sometimes when I talk with someone, they don't need to go on Medicare. They need to stay exactly where they're at. They have the ability of staying on their group health plan. And rather than me, meeting with them to tell them that, I can tell them over the phone.
Well, another thing that I think that people don't realize that Medicare does cost money. It's not free.
Right.
But there's also penalties that people can get into if they don't know what they're doing, which most people don't. And I can give an example of that, because my ex-mother-in-law, she for when she was getting Medicare and was going on she's 92 now, okay? Let me tell you how long this has been going on. Because when she first got Medicare, she was healthy, right? So she said, well, I don't need the what is it, Part D, I think it is, whatever.
Free Part B or Part D, depending.
Whichever one it was. I don't need it, I'm healthy, just don't need that. So they didn't do it. Now, this is a long time ago. The rules might have been different at the time. I have no idea. All I know is now, all these years, she's been paying out of pocket for her medicine, okay? And let me tell you how much some of them are, and what she has to go through, the hoops, right? But that should not be the case. When they talk to you, you're gonna help her right away, probably say, look, you might be healthy now, but most people are on medicine when they turn 65 something.
Correct.
Even if it's a statin.
So there's two ways you can accrue a penalty. So if someone is turning 65 and they don't have what's called creditable coverage through an employer, and they miss their enrollment period, that's where they can start to accrue a penalty. They have to wait till the general election period, which is from January through March, and if they miss that again, then they just keep accruing penalties. If you get a penalty, it's lifetime. You never outrun it. So if you get it, it's always going to be assessed to your plan. Same with the drug plan. So if you don't take a drug plan when you are Medicare eligible, you will start to accrue penalties. And then there always comes a point where, hey, I actually need this medication, because that did happen one time. I met with a client. I got a phone call saying, hey, I don't have a drug plan. I met with them. They didn't have a drug plan for a very long time, and the person that originally enrolled them didn't give them one. So they needed one because the medication that they needed was about $3,000 without insurance.
Sounds very familiar.
Yep. So got them on a plan. They knew that they were going to have a penalty. It was about $50 in addition to their drug plan premium, but brought their cost of their medications down to the hundreds, not thousands.
Right, and feasible.
Yep,
And you
exactly.
don't know these things like she didn't.
Correct.
It just gets you into a pickle, especially with the money that medications cost today. And you shouldn't have to go to other countries and all of that stuff to have it brought in. You really shouldn't.
Yeah, so the good news is that as of last year, Medicare capped all drug plans. So as long as someone had a drug that was covered on the formulary of their personal drug plan, the most that they can spend was $2,000, which is phenomenal. Because a year before that, I met with a gentleman where the medication that he had was really not covered by any drug plan, and it was going to cost him $98,000 for the year to get that filled. Luckily for him, it was something that fell under Part B, which we found out. I did some digging on, And then it just went towards his Medicare Part B deductible, which was, now $257.
Luckily for him, he spoke to you,
There you go.
right? I
Yep.
mean, that's what this is all about, and everybody has a different story.
Yes.
So it's really important that when you hear these things, and you never heard of somebody that does this, it's a great avenue for you to go down to make sure that you have the right coverage for you. That's what it's all about. Also, if you are just turning 65, you want to call at least 4 months. You said about 4 months, was it, before
Yeah,
your
4 months before your birthday month, so that gives us a month before your enrollment period starts, so we can get the whole plan
and he
going.
helps you from the beginning
Yep.
to the end, and it just isn't just enrolling in Medicare, because there's the other part of it that is probably the more important part of all of it.
Yeah,
right?
how you want your secondary coverage. So there's two ways that somebody can go. They can elect to use Medicare as their primary insurance and then have a true secondary plan. And the way that works is that Medicare just has a deductible. You pay your deductible, and once that deductible is met, then that insurance company, depending on what plan you get, because remember there's a bunch of letters, depending on which plan that you pick, potentially can pay all your overages for you. The downside of that style is that you're gonna pay a premium whether you're healthy or you're not, or whether you use it or you're not. So that you're gonna pay, a few $1,000s every year in premiums, whether you want to or not. The other side is what's called Medicare Part C, or an Advantage plan. That style is very similar to group health insurance, where there's co-pays, co-insurances, max out of pockets, things like that. There's no premium typically for those. There are some premiums on some plans, but there is no premium for them typically, but the back end cost can be thousands of dollars. So it just depends on how you want it, how you want your coverage. Do you want to pay up front and not worry about a network, or do you want to have a network and then not pay a premium each month? So that's what we sit down and we talk about.
It's that number to call them again. It's 480-648-5052. It is ASC Insurance AZ.com. You wanted to talk about premiums, and let's talk about that.
Yeah, so premiums are the big topic right now. They've been the big topic for the last couple of years. So with supplemental coverage, you pay a premium whether you use the plan or not. And the premiums in the state of Arizona are based off of when you turned 65. It's not when you age each year, they increase your premium. The premium increases off of medical inflation. So what you pay is what everyone else pays at the same age that you are with that company. So the last couple of years, the premiums have skyrocketed, and that's where I get a lot of calls right now. They say, hey, my premiums went up. Last year was 16%. This year was 20%. And they say, hey, what can I do to potentially lower this? Well, the great part about supplemental coverage is there is no wait to change your plan. You can change it month to month if you wanted to. There is no annual enrollment period for a supplemental coverage. So if you wanted to change your plan, let's say if you had a plan and you're paying now $200 and you want to see what's available, starting August 1st, we could potentially have you in a new plan.
It's around the corner.
As long as you can answer some medical questions and pass the medical questions, you can reset the clock.
Why do people hesitate to answering those questions?
I think sometimes people get, it's an emotional decision. They'll say, I like the company, they've done great by me, there's always a reason for it, and I think a lot of times it's tied to emotions. I look at the companies as, dollars and cents. I mean, if there's a company that's gonna provide the same coverage that your other company does, and they're gonna give it to you at a cheaper rate, and they have good customer service, why not make that change?
What is your favorite part of what you do?
I mean, just helping people. Like I said, when I was just working for one specific company, it was hard because there was times where I felt like I wasn't able to help them fully.
Mm-hmm.
Versus becoming a broker and having my own company, I feel like now I give everyone the option of what's going to suit them the best.
Right,
And
so important.
exactly, and also too, but a long time ago, I used to help with group health insurance, and just seeing that when you're in that realm, you only really offer like one product, versus now I offer so many products, and I give them
Choices.
Yeah, exactly, the option to choose how they want their health care.
Finding the best plan that is right for you and that fits your pocketbook. That's the other part that's so
Exactly.
important. And making sure that all of your drugs are covered.
Yes.
That's another thing that's really important. You can call him direct at 480-648-5052. His website is ASCINSURANCEAZ.com. He does work statewide, but he also works in most of the southern states as well. This is a free service to you. And yes, if you are turning 65, which somebody's turning 65 almost every day here, I would say every
Oh,
day
yeah.
for sure, and he can help you start with getting it onto it and then go further and taking the next steps to make sure that you have the right plan for you. Again, his number is 480-648-5052.